Hello everybody. This video lecture is all about transaction management in database management system. Myself, Jayanti, Assistant Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering from Dr. MGR Education and Research Institute. Topics to be covered are: what is transaction, an example of transaction, what is asset properties, and transaction state. What is transaction? A transaction can be defined as logical unit of processing. A transaction can also be defined as a group of tasks. You all know in computer science we call set of instructions as programs in programming languages like C, C++, Java and so on. The same set of instructions can be called as process, job, thread in operating system concept. Likewise, set of operations that form single logical unit are called as transactions in database management system. Let's see an example for transaction. Suppose a bank employee wants to transfer a certain amount like ₹100 from A's account to B's account. Here I have given set of operations to do this transaction. Have splitted the transaction in two part. One is A's account, the second is a B's account. In order to transfer, first A's account should be opened. Then the current balance of A is assigned to old balance. Here old balance is a temporary variable. The amount, that is ₹100, is reduced from A's account and stored in a new variable called new balance. Again it is a temporary variable. That new balance variable is assigned to A's current balance. Then the account of A should be closed. So far half of the transaction is over. That is, we have reduced the amount from A's account. The next step, we need to add the account to the B's account. First we have to open B's account. Then the current balance of B is noted in a old balance, which is a temporary variable. In the as a third operation, the amount which I have reduced in the A's account should be added here, and it's stored in new balance. The new balance is also a temporary variable. Again, I'm storing the new balance into B dot current balance variable. So this 10th line of statements are needed. We call it as set of operations to do this transfer of amount 100 as a transaction. Asset properties. Every transaction must follow this asset property in order to ensure accuracy, completeness, and data integrity. A stands for atomicity. This property states that the transaction must be treated as an atomic unit. That is, either all the operation should be executed or none. C stands for consistency. This property states the database should maintain in a consistent state after any kind of transaction. I stands for isolation. In a database system where one or more transactions are being executed simultaneously. Here, every transaction should be treated as that is the only transaction are being executed. That is, one transaction should not disturb the other. D stands for durability. The database should be durable enough to hold all its latest update even if the system crash or failure. This slide is all about states of transaction. We have 5 states here: active state, partially committed state, failed state, and aborted state. Every transaction should begin from active state. Here is where the actual execution are happening. During execution, one transaction may request read or write command, and that should be satisfied by the database system. If the execution is over after satisfying all read and write, then that particular transaction will be moved to partially committed. If any read or write is not satisfied and the transaction and the operation is not completed, then that particular transaction will be moved to failed state. If a transaction comes to partially committed, it is considered as its execution are over. So here in the state, the recovery system of database system will check the database whether the database are still maintained in a consistent state or not. If the database are maintained in a consistent state, then this particular transaction will be moved to committed state. As you have seen, we have two outcomes from partially committed. One is committed, the second is a failed state. So if the recovery system check fails, then that particular transaction is moved to failed state. From failed state, the transaction is moved to aborted state. Here, all the read and write command, whichever happened during active state, will be rolled back and the transactions are made to go out of the life cycle of the transaction. Once again, I repeat, active state. This is the state where the transaction is being executed. Partially committed. When a transaction executes its final operation, it is said to be in a partially committed state. Failed state. A transaction is said to be in a failed state if any of the checks made by the database recovery system fails. Aborted. If any of the check fails and the transaction has reached a failed state, then the recovery manager roll back all its write operation on the database to bring the database back to its original state. Committed. If a transaction executes all its operations successfully, it is said to be committed. Thank you.